Depression can feel like a heavy cloud that follows you everywhere, changing how you see the world. It often brings a friend called anxiety, and together they can make your thoughts turn negative. You might find yourself worrying constantly about the future or replaying past mistakes in your mind. These thoughts can feel very powerful and true in the moment, making it hard to see any hope or possibility for things to get better. It is a common experience for those struggling with depression to feel trapped by this cycle of negativity, as if they are passengers in a vehicle they cannot control, heading toward a destination they fear. This constant stream of worry and sadness can be exhausting. It drains your energy and makes even small everyday tasks feel like climbing a mountain. You might start to believe that you are powerless against these overwhelming feelings. This sense of helplessness is one of the most difficult parts of depression. It can convince you that nothing you do will make a difference, so you stop trying. The negative thoughts then become a self-fulfilling prophecy, creating a reality that matches the gloom inside your head. It's important to remember that these feelings, while incredibly strong, are symptoms of an illness, not a reflection of your true self or your capabilities. Many people who experience this find themselves caught in a loop. A small worry can grow into a huge, terrifying thought very quickly. For example, a simple concern about a work project might spiral into a fear of getting fired, losing your home, and having your life fall apart completely. This process, known as catastrophizing, is a hallmark of anxiety and depression. It takes a minor issue and blows it up into the worst possible outcome, making you feel panicked and overwhelmed. Recognizing this pattern is the very first step toward learning how to manage it and regain a sense of balance in your thinking. The good news is that you are not powerless, even when it feels that way. There are tools and techniques that can help you challenge these negative thought patterns and reduce their hold over you. These methods don't offer a magical cure, but they provide a practical way to fight back and create some space between you and the overwhelming emotions. One such tool is the worst-case scenario technique, which comes from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It is a structured way to confront your fears directly, understand them better, and realize that you are more capable of handling them than you might think. The worst-case scenario technique sounds scary, but it is actually designed to do the opposite of what its name suggests. Instead of letting your mind run wild with vague, terrifying fears, this method asks you to look at them directly and in great detail. The main idea is that the fears swirling around in your head are often much worse than the reality of the situation. When you keep a fear undefined, it has unlimited power to torment you. By defining it and shining a light on it, you take away much of its power and begin to see it for what it really is, a thought, not a fact. This technique works because it helps you move from feeling emotional and overwhelmed to thinking logically and practically. When you are in the grip of anxiety, your emotional brain takes over, and it's not very good at realistic problem solving. It reacts with a fight-or-flight response to perceived threats, even if those threats are just thoughts. The worst-case scenario exercise forces you to engage your rational brain. It makes you slow down and analyze the situation, breaking it down into smaller, more manageable parts. This process can be incredibly calming and empowering. Think of it like being afraid of a monster under your bed. As long as you stay huddled under the covers, your imagination can make that monster as big and scary as it wants. The moment you grab a flashlight, get out of bed, and look underneath, you see that there is nothing there. Or maybe you just find a pile of old socks. The fear disappears because you have faced it with facts and evidence. This technique is your flashlight. It helps you confront the monsters created by your depression and anxiety, so you can see that you have the strength to handle them. It is important to understand that the goal is not to pretend your problems don't exist or to engage in blind positive thinking. Instead, the purpose is to look at your fears realistically. This technique helps you prepare for potential difficulties while also recognizing that the catastrophic outcomes you imagine are often very unlikely to happen. It is a way of building mental resilience by practicing how you would cope if things did go wrong. This preparation itself can significantly reduce your anxiety because you start to build confidence in your own ability to handle life's challenges. First, you need to identify a specific fear that is causing you a lot of worry or sadness. Try to be as clear as possible. Instead of a vague feeling like I'm worried about my future, narrow it down to something concrete, such as I'm afraid I will fail my upcoming exam. Writing this fear down can be very helpful. Once you have it clearly stated, you have a solid starting point. This step is about catching the anxious thought and holding it still, rather than letting it run freely in your mind where it can grow and connect with other fears, creating a tangled web of anxiety. Next, allow yourself to imagine the absolute worst possible outcome if this fear were to come true. Be detailed. If you fail the exam, what happens next? Perhaps you fail the course, and then what? Maybe you have to retake it, or it delays your graduation. Keep following the chain of events until you reach the end of the line, the worst-case scenario. For example, if I fail the exam, I will fail the course. I will have to spend money to retake it next semester, and my graduation will be delayed by 6 months. This is the core of the exercise, facing the thing you are most afraid of head-on. Now, take a step back and evaluate how likely this worst-case scenario really is. Use a scale from 0% to 100%. Is it truly a 100% certainty that you will fail the exam? Probably not. What is a more realistic probability? Maybe it's 20% or 30%. Thinking about the real odds can put your fear into perspective. Most of the time, we find that the things we worry about the most have a very low chance of actually happening. This step helps you separate the emotional, exaggerated fear from the logical, realistic possibility, which can instantly lower your anxiety level. Finally, create a plan for what you would do if the worst-case scenario did happen. If you failed the course, what steps would you take? You could talk to your professor, find a tutor, and sign up to retake the class. Then, try to find any silver linings. Maybe retaking the course would give you a chance to truly master the material, or the delay would open up an unexpected opportunity. Practicing this whole process regularly makes it easier. Each time you do it, you teach your brain that you can cope with difficult outcomes, which builds confidence and reduces fear. One of the greatest benefits of consistently using the worst-case scenario technique is that it significantly lowers your overall anxiety. When you regularly confront your fears in a controlled way, they start to lose their power over you. You are no longer avoiding them, which is what gives anxiety its fuel. Instead, you are actively engaging with them and proving to yourself time and time again that you can handle them. This practice helps to calm your nervous system, making you feel less on edge and more at peace in your daily life. The constant background noise of worry begins to fade. This method also builds incredible emotional strength and resilience. Life will always have challenges, and this technique doesn't change that. What it changes is your belief in your ability to face those challenges. Every time you walk through a worst-case scenario and create a plan to cope with it, you are building a mental muscle. You are learning that even if the worst happens, you can survive it. You can find solutions. This growing sense of competence is a powerful antidote to the helplessness that so often comes with depression. You start to see yourself not as a victim of circumstances, but as a capable problem solver. Furthermore, this exercise helps you distinguish between real problems that need your attention and imagined fears that are only draining your energy. Our minds can create endless frightening stories, but most of them will never come to pass. By analyzing the likelihood of your fears, you learn to focus your time and energy on the things you can actually control. This frees you from the exhausting cycle of worrying about things that are out of your hands or are highly unlikely to occur. It gives you back a sense of control over your own mind and your life, which is a vital step toward recovery. It is crucial to remember that this technique is just one tool in a larger toolbox for managing depression, and it is not a cure. For some, especially at first, imagining the worst-case scenario can feel overwhelming. If you find that this exercise makes you feel worse, or if your depression is severe, it is very important to seek professional help. A therapist can guide you through this process and provide other strategies tailored to your needs. Please be kind to yourself. Give this method a try, but don't hesitate to reach out for support. You don't have to go through this alone.